This morning, I had a look at the weekly StarCraft 2 tournaments that were already finished, and it turns out that for some reason, none other than Scarlett decided to sign up for the Wardy Monday. Now, I haven't seen Scarlett play a whole lot over really like the last year. It's been a while. I mean, every once in a while there is a Scarlett replay, but in general, she doesn't really seem to be playing the game that much. But apparently this week, she tried to see... Oh my god, what is that? Is that a dog in, like, tomato soup? Or hot chocolate? That is the most cursed clan decal that I've seen in a while. With the red Protoss pieces, we're looking at Gerald's main Nexus. And I haven't really seen him play all too much as of late either. This best of 3 series. I mean, it's a ZVP. I have no idea what to expect. But I know that there are a hell of a lot of Scarlett fans out there. And you know what? I am one of them. Scarlett, historically, one of the best players in the game. And obviously, she's had a lot of success. So let's see what she can do in 2025. I know she's been very busy. I think, at the very least, last time I heard, developing games of her own. So I believe she was working on Zero Space and some other projects too. Not exactly sure how much time she or Gerald is dedicating to the game at this point, but we should be able to get a nice little update as to where they currently are. And you know what? There is always a chance, right? So obviously, with the way that the StarCraft 2 tournaments have been handled in 2025 so far, and really after the 2024 season ended, there was this giant lull where none of the pro gamers really knew what to expect from the future moving forward. Right? So if you don't know if you're going to be able to pay the bills next month because there might not be a tournament out there, it might not be the best choice to dedicate all your time to playing this video game when, you know, for every small online tournament for, well, quite a long time now, for every, like, $400 event that gets played every day, there's always Clem, there's always Bjorn, there's always MaxSpecs. Trying to obtain the victory is basically the equivalent of trying to win a world championship, right? Like, it's not easy to win even a weekly cup in 2025. So for a while there, the future was quite uncertain, and a lot of pro gamers decided to dedicate their time to... Some of them do, like, regular work. Some of them decided to, like, I don't know, go to university or something along those lines. And then, obviously, recently, we did have the announcement of the 2025 season. Better late than never, I suppose. Yeah. I could make a very long rant about how that entire process has been done, but I guess I won't. Anyways, it's certainly not been the easiest of times for a lot of the StarCraft pros out there. So... maybe now, with the 2025 season eventually announced, a lot of pro gamers are once more picking everything up, and they are trying to see how good they can get at StarCraft 2 in these next couple of months. Big advantage, though, for the dudes that have been playing a ton, right? Clem mentioned, after winning the World Cup in August of last year, that he did not take a break. And as far as I know, he hasn't taken a break at all. So Clem has been playing pretty much, well, non-stop, pretty much every single day. And he seems to be in fine form right now. It'll be difficult, I think, for anybody to really take him down, but there's always a chance. Anyways, so far, this has been a rather conventional beginning for both players. Oracles into Adepts. Twilight Council on the back of this. No Forge just yet, but I'm expecting one of those in a moment. Could go into Glaives even if you really wanted to. I wouldn't mind it. What will it be? Nothing. Excellent. Zergling's going in for the run-by. Oh, it is going to be Glaives. Okay. Yeah, Glaives is a little bit better, I think, without the Forge upgrade. New Oracle is available, though, and it is going to be able to push these Zerglings away over at the third hatch. Okay. Quite a few Zerglings made here by Scarlett, and she doesn't really know what she's playing against. No Overlord Scout. She has not seen the Twilight Council. I love the one Phoenix, actually, just to deny the vision altogether. I wonder if a Stalker can just finish the job. But at the very least, there will not be any vision here for the Zerg player whatsoever, other than with maybe a bunch of Zerglings running around and maybe a bit of vision at the front, but it'll be difficult to decide exactly what you're going up against if, say, for example, the Adepts get warped in right over here. Yeah, I think warping in the Adepts in the main base and then sending them all across the map in one big go. +1 melee coming up for Scarlett. Does she have a Roach Warren? No. So this could be lethal. This is the type of attack that you do need to be prepared against. She's going double Expo at this point in time. She's making a Roach Warren, Lair coming up. It is not gonna be an easy hold whatsoever. Now, it will not be a complete all-in here for Gerald. Gerald actually also hitting a small supply block there for a moment. He misses, I think, on like 2 or 3 additional Adepts here. I think you go. I think you go. Yeah. Okay, Wolof. Wolof is good. Still, though, Queens are gonna hurt. Eh. Okay. You know what? With all of those Zerglings, Geralt is gonna get cleaned up. Minimum losses here on Scarlett's side of the map. At the very least, no workers have died. Cost effectiveness, no, is obviously still in favor here of Geralt, but this does mean... Dude, what is this decal? I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. What are we looking at? Is that a spoon or a straw? Like, what is... I have no idea. I'm looking forward to somebody explaining it to me, and then I realize, oh, you know what? It wasn't actually, Anyway. Are those the dogs that make a lot of noise? Usually it's the little dogs that do a lot of yapping, right? My neighbor has a Chihuahua. Oh my god. Every time the door is open. Is this a Chihuahua? I don't know if it's a Chihuahua. Maybe. That guy's just yapping all day, every day. Ooh, I like this actually for Scarlett. So Scarlett has made all those Zerglings. 59 of them in total right now. She wants to try and see if she can potentially get some value out of them by sending the Queens together with some Ravagers to the other side of the map. Geralt has spotted the Dropper Lord, though. Overextension here. Overextension here by the Polish Zerg. No way. This is Zerglings with +1. +1 melee makes them way better. And that is certainly now going to trigger Scarlett to go across the map. I think we bring the Queens. Yep. Oh, we bring all the Overlords. Sure. Except for that one. I don't know why. We could have brought some more units, but here we go. The Imperial March is being played. Da, 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 as the Overlords are going across. Knocking down the cooling tower is smart, but I think Scarlett wants to go for the throat. Killing the third base is nice and all, but what about the natural and the main? Glaive Adepts, though, are generally not useful after the early game, but I think this is one of those circumstances where warping in additional ones is not that bad of an idea. Still, Geralt has a lot of units, and economically speaking, he's totally fine too. 69 workers, 70 workers versus 62. Overlord coming up. He can take a bunch of damage and be A-okay. Good defense so far, actually. Very nicely managed here by the Protoss. Dude, did Geralt lose a single worker so far? Oh, I don't think so. And now suddenly those cooling towers are going to make it difficult for the Ravagers to escape. Perfect defense here. Really nicely done. Yeah, a single worker has died in total in this entire game. That's crazy. Well, we're going to have to Imperial March our way back home as one of the Overlords almost got tickled to death by a single sentry. Storm on the back of this. Charge on the back of this as well. Hydra then. Very nice. Okay. I don't know what the Imperial March would sound like in reverse. I feel like it wouldn't sound very nice. There might be some subliminal messaging there. Remember that time period? I think this must have been like, I don't know, 20 years ago or so at this point, where people were playing all these popular pop songs in reverse, trying to hear if there were, I don't know, some sort of like subliminal messaging in every single one of them, dude. That was a while ago. Anyways, Hydraling Bane here for Scarlett. Geralt going into good old charge slots with Storm, Archons. All of this is looking pretty solid. Albeit, it's difficult to decide now, right? So if you're the Protoss player, action is sort of on you. Like, normally in this matchup, the next attack should probably come from Protoss, but it's always quite difficult to decide. And if you've played an early game like the one we've just seen, how do you make the decision to move across? Maybe it's better to just go into 4 base and throw down a fleet beacon and try to make a Skytools transition. Something along those lines. Anyways, Gerald decides to go for the wall in here over at the 4th base. I like the rocks actually just getting knocked down, but maybe sending the Hydras after the photon cannon is even easier. Scarlett doing some multi-pronged aggression. There's the fleet beacon. Yeah, I think this is the right choice. But Gerald needs to hold this push. Gerald at 140 versus 180-ish supply of Zerg. And this is just good old Roach, well, Hydra Zergling. One nice storm there. Not bad. Second storm, not as good. A lot of multitasking though, and a lot of probes are dying. This push is, interestingly enough, way more successful than the complete commitment of the all-in earlier on. Yeah, difficult game to read for Gerald. Can't really blame him all too much. 150 supply is a bit early, I think, to throw down a fleet beacon. But it's always difficult to decide exactly how much army there should be available at that stage in the game for the opponent. Scarlett, though, coming out swinging. Another Void Ray is being made. And after killing a bunch of workers already, she wants to see if she can maybe obtain the victory with this attack. 19 additional Hydras. A very aggressive follow-up. Hive coming up, though, in the meantime, too, so she's not just going completely all-in with this. Most of the time, actually, Zerg players at the highest level, they do transition towards the Hive tech a little bit before these type of attacks. Scarlett decided to do a hatchery-based all-in, and then, well, a near all-in as well on the back of this. Neither of them have completed the game, but Geralt is in a world of trouble now. 321 Zerglings dead by 12 minutes. Kind of extreme. Okay. If Geralt can stabilize, though, on 4 Nexi, he's gonna be okay. Fleet Beacon was made. If he can somehow, some way, find the resources and the time to make a mothership, that would be insanely good. Zerg would probably have to make a transition towards Corruptors. Maybe the amount of Hydras for now is fine. But Mothership, Cloaking, targeting the Overseers, Psionic Storms, I mean, you can put in a lot of work with only that. Anyways. Little Dropper Lords going across once more. There we go. I like this. This is an extremely strong play if you can actually gather the time to get the unit to pop out. It takes so freaking long. When you're waiting for the Mothership to finish like this, Geralt going into a Tempest as well. This is basically him crossing his fingers and hoping that Scarlett is not going to send in another wave of units. Well, the choke point over here is good to defend, though, with the Hydras alone. Overlord drops are arriving in the main base really, really soon. Okay, good storms once more. A lot of multitasking, though, will have to be happening here. Oh, another big storm. Man, those storms are juicy. Can we have a little Zealot Warp in? Yeah, good enough. Templar Archives is going down. Ultra Cavern? Okay. It's like Scarlett doesn't even want to win. Sorry, I don't like Ultras. I think Ultras are kind of garbage, but Adrenal Glands is good, though. And the potential for Ultras can be very powerful, too. If you do not see any Immortals on the other side of the map, it is something that can work out. And this is the type of game where Protoss doesn't have a Robo facility, so yeah, maybe. Maybe this is a case for Ultras. Good. Geralt hanging in there. And there she is. Mama! She's out. Geralt hoping to make that death ball of units. That is the approach right now. We have a lot of High Templar. We have a Mothership. Archon Productions here. We can go into a new, well, Templar Archives. I think we can continue the Tempest as well if we want to. And we are now arriving at a point where Protoss is moving into the late game and Scarlett is stuck on a mid-game army. Yeah, she's going Ultras. But I mean, Ultras are rarely actually Ultra. Zergling drop in the main base once more. Managed quite nicely. Protoss army now moving on the right side of the map. Zealot run by up north, putting in a lot of work. Supply count suddenly is even. Ultras are coming. 10 drones are already dead. Hatchery will live for now. Look at the amount of creep, though, through the middle of the map. This is shaping up to be an excellent game. An absolute back and forth so far. The amount of static defense over here is looking nice. Recall, though, is going to be used. We really need an observer, man. Oh, we just lost the Cybercore. He has no Cybercore, so he can't make a Robo facility. And without a Robo facility, he cannot go into... That's crazy, dude. That is the most successful thing that those Zerglings have killed. I don't know if Scarlett knows that killing the... Ooh, here we go. The Ultra's coming in. But killing the Cybercore was actually probably more painful than killing the Templar Archives. Which is usually kind of a funny statement. Here go the Ultras. No Robo. There's no Robo facility anywhere. So the Ultras are just chomping through everything. Ay, ay, ay. They will kill these High Templar in a heartbeat if they are given the chance. I think she can actually just attack move. Yeah. Ultras don't care about your Storm, dude. Oh my god. I can't believe I was critical of the Ultras. Ultras are the best unit in the entire game, confirmed. Yeah, and this is one of those rare circumstances where Ultras have just killed everything with ease. And sure, that means that the Mothership and the Tempest and stuff are still available. They're not going to be able to chomp those out of the sky. But the Ultras will kill so much before these units will actually finish the job. 42 probes have died. If Ultras had an anti-air move, maybe they would have been able to just straight up win the game. But they have done plenty of damage to justify all of this. Sick game. Sick game. I was starting to feel like Gerald was actually not in that rough of a position when, well, the supply count first evened up. But then the Zergling drop killing the Cybercore, preventing the Robo facility production, yeah, made this game pretty much unplayable for Gerald. I mean, we can make Archons, sure. Yeah. Sure. I think the Ultras will happily kill those too. I mean, this is still a scary army for Protoss, but it's not good enough. There's no way. There's no way. I mean, unless you fight on the bridge. Oh god. It's like Scarlett is really trying to throw the game, but... I think this is one of the worst engagements she could take, but as long as the Ultras get into the fight, they will just chomp their way through everything. G gets cold as Scarlett obtains the victory in game number 1. Did Geralt just switch account? Yeah. No more dog spinning around in chocolate milk on the main Nexus. We're playing in green now, and he switched from Geralt to Geralt. This is not okay. I guess what happened is that we switched from the NA server to the EU server or something along those lines. Maybe vice versa. To make the ping... I don't know where Scarlett currently lives, but... to make the ping a little bit more fair. Anyway. Stalker. Into an Adept this time around. Yeah, funny little first game. Lovely back and forth. Can't believe the Zergling drop ultimately sealed the deal, though. It's very weird to have like a... what was that game? Like 20 minutes long? Very strange to have a 20-minute long game with not a single Robo facility. Ultras and Immortals in general are just kind of funky. Because Immortals absolutely tear apart. So honestly, Skytals in general is just a weird unit composition in general. Because Skytals itself, like, I mean, pure Mothership, pure Tempest, pure Carrier, is not even really that strong. That type of army, when it's just flying units, is very killable with just Hydras and Corruptors. Even Queens or Spore Crawlers can do the job. But the strength of Skytals obviously comes primarily from the fact that you mix in spellcasters, like High Templar. You can even sort of mix in Disruptors as well. And then suddenly, with Archons in the mix and High Templar, then suddenly Skytals is an absolute banger. Now, that previous game is one of those situations where, without a Robo facility, you can't make a counter against the Ultras, and then the Ultras absolutely decimate everything on the ground, and then all you're left with is the actual Skytos part of the army, but the Skytos part of the army on its own is not that strong. So you end up in a very strange situation. Anyway, now we find ourselves on Pylon, one of the brand new StarCraft maps. I believe this was the map actually chosen by the map makers. So the brand new StarCraft 2 map pool just happened a couple, well, at this point it's been like maybe a week or two. Anyway, a lot of tournaments are still ongoing and they seem to be finishing on, well, the old map pool. The new map pool, though, of StarCraft 2, we've had 2 maps that carried over from the previous one, and then 3 maps that were chosen by the community, 3 maps that were chosen by the pro gamers, and then 1 map, and I believe that's this one, by the map makers themselves. So Pylon is not a map that I've actually seen too many games on yet. Interestingly enough, Pylon is one of the very few maps that does not have a pylon indicator. So you have to sort of just guess where the first pylon needs to go, which I really think is a missed opportunity by the map maker. Anyway, I know that the map maker community, they are very excited about these bridges. So I believe these bridges are unbuildable, meaning that you can't put anything on them. I don't know if it's that big of a deal, but they were excited for it, so I don't know. We'll see. Watched a lot of games on this. Well, not so much this map so far, but over the years I've seen a lot of StarCraft games with maps that have bridges on them, and yeah, I feel like Ultra Love has more more issues with the bridges than anything else. Anyways, Gerald trying to put on that pressure early on. We don't really have a ton of damage dealt yet, though. A single Phoenix was also made, which is a bit funky. Difficult for Zerg to really get a real scouting information on the back of this, but when you go for a Phoenix or a Void Ray to try and deny scouting information from your opponent, to then follow it up with a pretty conventional build is always a bit strange to me. So this is Blink. I guess the strange component or the weird part of this strat is the very quick Templar Archives on the back of this as well. So this is going to be quick Psystorm. Psystorm was the most important part of that previous game, but what about now this 4th Nexus? Well, if Scarlett decides to target it down, she's going to be able to easily kill it. And indeed, she completes that job. Scarlett has a lot of money in the bank, though. And a big supply block. Can we make Overlords? Hey, Scarlett, we need some... Yeah, Infestation Pit is nice. Lurker Den is nice. Can we make Overlords? Okay, 1. We can make 1 Overlord. Dude, if Gerald would come in with a timing attack right now, it would actually hurt so much. Okay, now she realizes it. Not the case, though. Plenty of Zerglings still available to keep this Protoss player occupied. This is what happens sometimes when you're being extremely aggressive. Gonna lose track of the supply count. Ooh, straight Fleet Beacon again. Gerald's enjoying the Skytos, huh? Will we make a robo facility in this game? So the only reason we went for a Phoenix was to deny scouting. So we could go for the Templar Archives, get a really quick Psystorm, and then go straight into Sky Toss. Now, even though we've had a lot of action over the map so far, this is a very passive Protoss approach. Most of the aggression was just sort of done to be allowed to go into Skytos, because otherwise you just get overwhelmed early on. You need to put on pressure, because otherwise Zerg just get a million drones early on, and you can't really stop it. But this is still ultimately a very passive game here by the Polish Protoss. So, how do we navigate this? Static defense? Essentially what this is, right, is the Protoss saying to the Zerg, yo, you can do whatever you like. I will just... You know, I'll be in my room. If you you need me, you know where to find me, right? That's ultimately what we're doing. This map is huge. There's a ton of bases that can be taken. Did you know there's 2 bridges in the middle? I know. The map makers really want you to know about the bridges. There's yeah, a Zerg player out there too, though. And if you give this Zerg too much wiggle room, They can do tech switches like no tomorrow. 88 probes, by the way, for Gerald. That seems like an extreme amount, too. Whoa. Would you look at that? That's crazy. Robo facility. Building. Scarlett, though, she's going into a Nidus network. Tempest production. No Mama ship yet. Ooh. Do we have the Oracle still around? Yes. 2 of them. Oh, well. We had them. Oh, God. No! Oh, no. That was the worst moment to be losing those Oracles. You need Oracles here for Revelation, because, again, there's been no Robo facility, so we have no other way of detecting the lurkers. Ah! That was the absolute worst timing to be losing those units. Ay, ay, ay. Oh, no. Well, now suddenly, Scarlett is going to be able to put in a ton of work here. Spyra coming up on the back of this as well. She did not go for that in the previous game, but this one is obviously a little different. Having that potential Corruptor transition is nice. Man. Can't believe we had the all-army hotkey right there to try and bring the Oracles back into the mix. This is crazy. Look at the creep spread as well from Scarlett, by the way. That is how she first became known in the StarCraft universe. Making more queens just for creep spread? Whoa. This blew people's minds in like 2011. No cancel on that Nexus. I think Gerald is falling apart. Nidus Worm in the back. That one at the very least gets denied. But ultimately, this is now a Protoss player on 3 bases versus like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 base Zerg. Now, I'm not great at math. And I did run out of fingers when I got to 5. But I believe 6 is a larger number than 3. Yeah, and I feel like, in general, this playstyle for Protoss, I've ranted about this a million times before, but in the current meta, the flavor of turtle is Protoss, and it's just so slow. Like, we've opened up with a nice bit of aggression, right, going into the Oracles and the Adepts and all that, and then we decided, yup, put my feet up, make a fleet beacon, try to max out, and then all-army hotkey my Oracles, my only form of detection, into my opponent's Hydras. I mean, to be fair, I've had a personal vendetta against Skytles ever since I was 18 when I first started playing this game. I think it's been a while. Scarlett is dismantling it beautifully, though. She knew that those Oracles were key, so she doubled down on the aggression. 88 workers is more than enough to constantly replenish this, and another group of Hydras on the left side of the map will deny that Nexus. Niduses are put down, and at the very least, Gerald is successfully making sure that there's no lurkers tunneled into his bases. But, I mean, how in the world are you gonna win with 3 base Protoss against all of this Zerg? Basically, what Gerald is trying to do at this point is just max out on the best army he can possibly produce. Funnily enough, lurkers would be replaceable with Ultras again. Oh, no unit in the wall off? Okay, luckily there's a warp in available. Hydras, though, sail forward using that lunge ability. This is still a Protoss army that needs to be respected, though. I think it's about time for Scarlett to transition towards Corruptors. Probes are dying left, right, and center. There's multiple Zerg armies all over the Protoss bases, though. And while the main is going to be rescued for now, the Hydras are hunting down Templar over at the 3rd. Scarlett is doubling down on Hydras. Yeah, GG. Brilliant series by the Canadian Zerg. So, the next opponent that Scarlett played during the weekly... Well, I mean, it's once again Scarlett over here in the bottom left-hand corner. Next opponent, though, from South Korea, we're looking at Classic's main Nexus. Now, Classic is amongst the very best, right? I mean, I keep thinking about those few series that I cast of Classic a few months ago when he just played like an absolute donkey. That was like one tournament where Classic played so poorly and the game. They were painful, man. And in my mind, that has dragged down my entire opinion of Classic. Even though historically he's one of the most successful Protoss players in the world. And I mean, that was just like one event. I keep thinking about that one though. So maybe he can redeem himself here permanently for me, but I do imagine that this is going to be quite the step up though for Scarlett's opponent, right? Like this is certainly not a Protoss player that she's going to be able to, well, beat in the same way, I don't think, as Gerald. Classic is somebody though who likes to sit back and make Skytles units and, you know, play that more passive style. But I also think he's learned that you can't really just put your feet up on your Nexus at 4 base and then go Fleet Beacon and AFK. Like, I don't think that's what we're gonna see from Classic. Classic actually recently has been looking really powerful once more. I just keep thinking about that one series. I don't remember who the opponent was. I just remember the map was Abyssal Reef. And it was just one of like the lowest high-level games I have seen in years. It wasn't just one blunder, it was like 17 of them. It was not ideal. Anyways, according to me, pro gamers are not allowed to have a day off, okay? Or have an off day. Not allowed at all. Gotta take your job as a pro gamer, you know, seriously. It's like if you're a lifeguard. A lifeguard, you are 24/7. I expect you to have your whistle with you all the time. I believe you have to be wearing your Speedo and your... It's important. I need to feel safe. It's like being a clown. You gotta be a clown. You're not just a clown on the weekends. Did you know that apparently once upon a time, clowns were not considered creepy? Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Apparently clowns were not considered creepy for like multiple generations. Pretty wild. Anyways, Classic opening up with some good old early game aggression. We're dancing with the Adepts, the Oracles. So far though, Scarlett's defense has been pretty solid, although economically speaking, she doesn't have a whole lot of stuff. Third Nexus is coming up, and this is one of those weird spots where like Zerg technically hasn't taken a lot of damage, but also Zerg is kind of falling behind. Evolution Chamber coming up. Third Nexus is already done. Well, I mean, this is certainly going to finish. Nothing that the Zerg is going to be able to do about it. Scarlett produced a ton of links, but then isn't able to use them for anything. And this is one of the big downsides of making those Zerglings early on in anticipation of an attack from the opponent. You can't really... I mean... crossing your fingers and hoping your opponent doesn't have a unit on hold position is one of the strategies you can go for, I guess. Not the most reliable approach, okay. 8 drones for a single Oracle, I don't mind. Obviously, you do want to keep your Oracles alive if possible. But this is a really solid beginning here for Classic. Scarlett forced to re-drone. +1 melee starts up. Roach Warren is coming. Lair is about 3/4, 80% or so of the way done. Classic, in the meantime, going for a very normal follow-up. So it's going to be Blink together with +1. And this is a theme in every single Classic game. Very little spice. Mostly just what we consider to be normal gameplay for Protoss. This is the least spicy way of playing Protoss, I would say. Classic probably thinks bell peppers are spicy. Like, that's how spicy we're talking here. Gateways are coming up. And we are going to be able to put on a little bit of pressure. So this is a later Templar Archives than what we saw in those Gerald games. Gerald opening up with a very fast Templar Archive, especially in that second match. Got away with it and then did very little with it, right? So I'm assuming we're going to see the Storm upgrade once more, a 4th Nexus, and then all the rest of it. Scarlett is thinking about going a... Tunneling Claws coming up as well. Roach production has begun. I like the idea of Zerg aggression, especially when you have a flying early game. Like when your early game is booming, whoa, then obviously going for a queen drop with a Ravager all in and all the rest of it is phenomenal. When you've had a pretty shaky early game though, I don't know, man. Especially not against someone like Classic. Like Classic is, well, I mean, like I said, he's a classical Protoss player. He's very good at playing that normal style. And the normal Protoss style is usually extremely defensive. I believe he may have actually seen the Dropper Lords as well. Storm is not going to be done in time for this attack, that's for certain. Okay, we've had a Zergling drop in the main base. Already, though, units getting warped in over here. If this was Banelings, it would have been a disaster. What about the fight at the front? And this is an awful lot of Zerg. Way more supply for the Zerg player in total. I do really like that Stasis Ward. If Storm can finish, that would be phenomenal. Looks like the Overlord drop in the main base has been denied. A lot of static defense coming up. 5 shield batteries in total. Classic spending his piggy bank there. Probes are starting to fall. Tunneling Claws now available. Zerglings have woken up out of stasis once again. Okay. Keep in mind that there is not a whole lot on the back of this for Scarlett. Like, she's doing more of the same. Protoss now, by the way, does have Storm done. Okay, pretty terrible for Storm, but... Look at the High Templar throwing water balloons at the Queens, pretending like they can deal real damage. Okay, Scarlett completely all in there. She realizes that a transition from here is going to be near impossible. It is an early GG for sure, but I can't really blame her. Alrighty, next up, we find ourselves on Ley Lines. One of the maps that made it from the previous season to the new one. From the previous map pool. Together with Ultra Love. Okay. Only 2 maps. Only 2 maps have stayed. So I wonder if Scarlett decided to go for that full-on committed all-in. Either because she's afraid of fighting Classic in a long game. She just did it, though, against Gerald, so you'd imagine she's fine. But maybe she's a little bit afraid of what he can do in a longer match. Or she believes that killing that one Oracle was enough to actually just prompt that push. I mean, imagine if there was another Oracle available for Classic, for the defense in that previous match. A lot more Zerglings would have gotten zapped. Maybe a couple of the Ravagers too. More shield, or not shield batteries, more stasis wards would likely also be planted down. The Classic didn't even need it, right? And he obviously did lose that Oracle, but it was after killing 8 drones. 8 drones is a lot of drones. So let's see. Classic getting a pretty easy victory in the first match. Not the perfect defense, by the way. Like, that was still relatively sloppy, but good enough. So the reason that the Zerg player tapped out is because she was still playing on effectively 3-base eco. She did plant down a 4th hatchery during all of it, but 3-base eco versus 3-base eco. And you're behind in tech. Zerg doesn't have a ton of combat mechanics in modern StarCraft 2. She would have to rely on Classic making multiple ginormous blunders. And that is one thing that the top-level Koreans are not really known for. Twilight Council. Double Oracle again. And the dance will begin. It's a lot of Zerglings. Scarlett loves to make this many links. I feel like this is too many. If you make this many, you need to try and cancel the opponent's 3rd Nexus. I mean, if the Adepts don't stem, they should move. Okay. Also good enough. Now the Oracles can go home. Classic could recall, but I feel like he doesn't need it. Good movement here by Classic. Yeah, now ultimately, you've made like 20 Zerglings, and what have you done with it? Well, you've delayed your own economy by about 10 workers, right? And you've killed 2 Adepts. Maybe 3 Adepts. Is that worth it? Unlikely. I guess you also got those Oracles off your back. So that's nice, I suppose, but yeah. Rarely do I feel like making that many Zerglings early on is actually worthwhile against Protoss at this level. Classic dealt with that pretty handily. 17 Zerglings down, 3 Adepts. The trades don't look that bad, but obviously in the meantime, Scarlett was behind as far as that worker count goes. Easy to overmake Zerglings at that stage in the match. Yeah. And now Classic immediately retaliates with the defensive adepts that he produced while making 3 probes of his own. Every single time here that these Nexi have one available. Now Scarlett needs to make more Zerglings, which means that, again, she can't really make any drones. Ooh, drones hiding inside of that gas geyser. It's a nice idea and all. She's making drones now while these units are going to town. Stasis ward in the back of the natural expansion, putting in the work. And ultimately, making those Zerglings takes the wind out of your own sails, assuming the opponent plays well. That's what it feels to me. Like, it just doesn't seem like you ever are in a positive situation after that. Unless you can force the cancel on your opponent's Nexus. If you can force the cancel on your opponent's Nexus, then obviously you're in a phenomenal spot. Classic, going for a 4th Nexus, nice and quick. Blink on the back of this again. Templar Archives, nice and early. Scarlett going into a infestation pit. Hydra then. Small deficit for her right now. Nothing out of the ordinary, but certainly not a spot you really want to find yourself in. She's forced to cut some corners, and, well, so far, not too bad. Creep spread, though, is once again beginning. In that game against Gerald, she managed to goop up, like, I don't know, 80% of the entirety of the map. There was so much creep to go around. Here go the Stalkers. I would love to see more Protoss players experiment with what MaxPax has been doing early, where he actually pushes before Blink is finished. Feels a little weird, but it tends to deal so much damage, because you catch the Zerg again when they're trying to drone up. So he pushes like 30 seconds before Blink is finished on the Twilight Council. This is the more conventional approach. I feel like that is one of the recent changes we've been seeing in this particular matchup. Classic, though, playing it very safe. Okay, so Storm is about done. Hive starts up. Lurker Den also starts up. Robo Facility. Wouldn't be surprised if we're going to be seeing a Fleet Beacon in the near future. But Classic will probably wait. Play it a bit safer instead. Obviously, the main strength of the Lurker is when they get their Hive Tech upgrades, right? So there's 2 upgrades in the Lurker Den. These will finish up right around the same time, so you can go for the Burrow improvement and then also the ranged improvement for the Lurkers. Some of that beautiful creep, though, is being denied once more. That seems to be what Classic is aiming for. A little bit of creep clearing. Stasis ward in the back. Another Stasis ward. Can we have one more Revelation to get rid of more of the creep? Good Storm. Ooh. Ooh, Storms left, right, and center, man. So far, Scarlett is dodging, but if you want to engage this, you're going to have to stand in the bad weather. Now the Fleet Beacon starts up together with a 2nd Stargate. Overextension here, though, by Classic, I believe. Yeah, the creep here at the bottom of the map is a little unorthodox, but it's helping Scarlett out quite nicely. She's having a difficult time chasing this off creep, though. Man, 1 Storm. 1 Storm on these Hydras would have been phenomenal. Okay, so that was really nice. That was really nice for Scarlett. So, ranged upgrade now, researching. Seismic Spines for the Lurkers. I don't believe there's any, real unit that packs a punch here yet. Other than the High Templar, energy recharge right there as well on one of them, but these Lurkers can hit very, very hard. Nidus Worm is going to be the next weapon of choice. Classic actually pretending like his army is bigger here than it is. If he decides to move, I actually like the idea of attacking here. Mostly just because this is a great opportunity for Zerg to be aggressive. But if you fake being aggressive right now as Protoss, like, don't go too deep onto creep. But you need to buy time for the Tempest to really pop out. Okay, Scarlett is not going to fall for it. Moving a bunch of Lurkers to the right side of the map. Ooh, big Storm over here. Scarlett not paying attention to it. Another nice Storm. Zealots running around the site. Okay, Lurkers in a very conservative position. Mostly just aiming to try and kill that 5th. And that one will indeed be cancelled. The Zergling run by on the left side of the map. Oh, beautiful storm. And great static defense here as well. Those Zealots having a grand old time. Another big storm in the meantime in the main fight. Classic seems to be on top of all of the things. Alright, and he might not have Tempest in the army. He might not have Immortals. Doesn't even really have a whole lot of Archons. No more Storms available, but he's still killing Lurkers. Now, I love that one positioning of the Cocoon. In the meantime, the Lurkers on the other side of the map, the ones that were responsible for killing the 5th, they have been cleaned up very, very slowly. I think this is Scarlett saying, good, great, good game. That's a lot of G's. That is a lot of G's. Ultimately, she decides to tap out. And that means that Classic obtains the victory 2-0.